didn't even see you there. What are we going to do today, Mrs. DIY?
We're going to do some kitchen upgrades, but not what you may think.
How can we update something they cannot think?
Well, they may not have thought of this. That's why we're bringing it to their attention.
So it's a unique project.
Yeah.
Or more than one project. Stick around to find out. This is going to be a very good episode. Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading channel with Professor DIY and Mrs. DIY behind the camera. We are very happy you're here, and you are our very favorite viewer. Here in beautiful North Carolina, the weather is just horrific. It either rains a lot or it is over 100 degrees. So today is not an outside project day, right, Mrs. DIY?
It's not going to be for us.
But there are a few small projects in the house that frankly have existed since we purchased the house. We did not cause these failures. But today we're going to do some touching up that will increase the value, the aesthetic value of our house. Would you agree with that?
I think so.
So stick around, and we're going to show you a couple of 3 projects that you can do yourself that will really make a big visual impact in your house. And apparently I cannot talk today. Ever since we purchased this homestead about 4 years ago now, we noticed something that we have never seen in any other house. Our range here, the indicators of where you're supposed to go are mostly gone. Have you ever seen something like that, Mrs. DIY?
No, I've never seen something like that rub off. It's always been something part of the structure, I guess.
So this just doesn't look right, and we're going to attempt to fix it today. Notice I say attempt.
Yeah, and it does, if you weren't familiar with where the settings are on this particular stove unit, you would be, burning things and probably yourself because you wouldn't get it to the right setting. This one has no markings whatsoever and not even real indicator of which burner it is for. So unless you know, you can have an accident.
But if you know, you know. Staying on the same piece of equipment, and that's another thing I've not seen, a few letters of the Samsung name are missing. And it surprised me about that these are Samsung appliances. They're not builder-grade appliances, right? Mm-hmm. They're upgrades. I've never seen that either. Have you?
No, I've not seen letters come off like that.
So 2 things. The first one is we need to figure out how to fix this, right?
Right.
How to clean this. And the second part is how to fix it.
Right.
So this is what we're going to use today. These are universal, I believe, right, for all ranges. And they're stickers that will allow us now to know exactly how to operate the oven, and will make it look better for sure, right?
Right.
We'll update it. And then the Samsung letters, you can buy those for any brand.
Yep.
We bought Samsung because we have Samsung, right?
Right. And you can see that it looks just the same as the one that came with the appliance.
So I didn't even know before I started researching that these were things you could buy. Did you, Miss?
No, I didn't. I'm glad that we found them.
Because these are, I can guarantee you, much cheaper than a new stove.
Oh, yeah.
So this is something that I presume most DIYers can do. We have never attempted this. This is the first time we ever use this project or try to do this project, right? Mm-hmm. So we are going to go from this to this. Beautiful looking and functionally upgraded. Almost brand new looking, right?
Yep. Definitely looks much more usable and new.
Even though it is very partial, we're going to start by taking a picture to have a general idea of where we need to put the new stickers. Again, this is very partial, but it is better than nothing. Unfortunately, when we bought the stove, not a single one was in place. So Mrs. DIY completed the picture, and the next step for us will be to clean the area and prep it. So our first step is to remove the buttons, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, they're knobs.
And in most stoves, they will just come straight out. You just pull them. It takes like what you would consider a moderate amount of pull. They're not very hard, but they do not fall off either, right?
I would imagine that a brand new stove might be a little bit more difficult just because the fitting is, new.
Okay, so the next step will be to...
We're going to try to scrub some of this stuff off. So I've got my magic eraser, well, the off-brand, but I'm going to see if it scrubs, and it is at least bringing off the decal.
And Mrs. DIY, you remember which is which? Because I don't.
Yeah, I do. This one goes here.
Okay. No, are you sure?
No.
Because I think this one has the two.
But you know what? We can turn it on and see where it lights up if we're unsure.
Okay. So, apparently the Magic Eraser, even the off-brand, is doing a fast work on it. And maybe that's how people did it. They didn't realize it and that came off. I don't know. So we're going to continue and remove all of it. And we're going to get right back with you. Like everything else, it has to get worse before it gets better, right?
Yep.
So everything is removed now and nothing has any signing on it. So hopefully what we bought will work for what we want. Otherwise it will not. It's not going to be fun, right? After you finish that, you need to dry it because again, these are going to be self-adhesive things, and if it is wet, they will not adhere very well. So this is step 2, right?
Yep.
So this is the first one, and it looks fine. In this orientation, we need to put it a little more pressure there. There's a little air underneath. But anyway, it looks okay, right?
Yeah.
So let's put the knob on because we did find a problem, and maybe that was my fault on ordering. Maybe there are different sizes. While it is better than it was, it is, and small and large are easily identifiable, and off is, the scale is not as easily identifiable, right?
Right.
But regardless, it looks better than it did. So we're going to go on and finish it, and then I will go and find out if there are different sizes, and if they're not, they're very inexpensive. We're going to order a new one and remove these and put a new one on.
Yeah.
But for now, we're going to finish the process and we're going to show it to you. We decided to go for bust and try and cutting those stickers and see if we can make them actually look better in our specific stove. So this came with no directions, that is the negative, right? So we're going to show you how that works for us, and you can decide if you want to do the same thing or not. But since the other one is mostly obstructed, where we're going to cut it?
I think we're going to cut it right between the low marks, and then we're going to cut it here as well so that the off is not attached to these. And that way we can see if we can move them slightly out from the ring here. If we move them a little bit more away from the outer circle, then we might be able to see them better. So we're going to give it a try.
Okay. So as they say, here goes nothing, right?
Yep.
You want to go a little further away than we were before. In essence, we're increasing the radius of the circle a little bit.
Yep. And if it wants to...
They are finicky and they want to immediately attach to the back when you approach it, because they are, I think, static.
Yeah.
Based.
Well, let's back it up a little bit. Try again. Obviously it wasn't meant to be in this type of placement, but let's see what it looks like.
Well, it is a universal thing probably, so
That
yeah,
looks
that looks
much
fine.
better.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So this actually looks better, but it takes more work, right?
Definitely.
So we'll probably do the same on this. But again, with a little bit of MacGyvering, we can make it work. So they're all attached and it looks much better. Do you agree, Mrs. DIY?
Yes, you can at least read the settings and you know which burner you're on. There are markings.
Now, while Mrs. DIY was diligently working on this, I didn't really need to help her. There was no point for us to film applying stickers to the surface. So I went and looked, and these are supposed to be universal, right? It's like the 5-minute ceiling fan. Universal means more than likely will not work for your situation. That's what the universal term means, right? You can make it work, and I noticed that you noticed we had to cut them to make them work for us. But when I went back to see, you have to go through every single one of them and take dimensions because they give you dimensions of the circle. Mm-hmm. And they're slightly different, but 3 ones that I checked, none of them will have fit our stove. So you probably have to go through a lot of research to find out the dimension. You want the inside dimension of the sticker to be larger or equal to the outside dimension of your knob. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So if you want to spend the time and go through every listing and see, because there is no easy way to do that, right?
Right.
It doesn't make sense for them to have like one listing and then put your dimension like they do clothes sizing, you know, choose your size or shoes. No, they have a different listing for each of them.
Yeah.
So universal means spend some time, but again, it wasn't bad. 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It is not a horribly difficult process, and it most certainly looks better.
Yeah. And we found that because the rings of this sticker set were smaller than the rings we needed, we actually cut the rings in segments so that we could spread them out a little bit more. Made it a little bit more time consuming, but it works for us.
And the only negative about this project, it came with no directions at all, right? There was nothing. It works. Would you agree, Mrs. DIY?
Yeah, it works.
So if you want to spruce up your kitchen, if it works like this one works, there is no reason to replace it yet. And you want it to look better, this is an easy way. What is the cost? $6. I don't think that's an expense that you cannot make, right?
Right.
So the next thing is we're going to tackle this, which is even more visible than the lack of graduations in the knobs.
Yep.
All our appliances are Samsung, and this, except of the Toshiba over there, and this specific one doesn't have anywhere the word Samsung. So we decided, since we have an extra one, to put one there, right?
Right.
So we start as always with cleaning the surface. And while this is not, just clean the surface we're going to put it on. Is your wife like this, guys? Instead of doing the thing that needs to be done, they want to do the whole house? Since there was not what do we call that, the badge already, we are just deciding arbitrarily. Most appliances we've noticed have the badges on the top right corner. So that's where we're going with this. This is a singular sticker, which I think makes it a little easier, right?
Right.
Perfect. And I might come later with a heat gun and just heat it with a little bit of temperature, and that might even make it even better. But it doesn't look bad at all, do you think?
No.
And now this is branded. We're doing the opposite trend, honey. Everyone wants to de-brand things, and we're rebranding things. Of course, if we were smart, we'll put what is the most expensive
I
brand.
don't know. It would be like KitchenAid or...
Right. So we could pretend we have the most expensive brand, but it is actually Samsung. There it is. Samsung. So we are branding it as it's supposed to be. Excellent. The last step, we need to remove this lettering here, which is the old failed process. And I see the difference is that this was a letter at the time, right? So we're going to use our plastic scraper to remove it. Then it looks like you will probably need to use again your magic eraser.
Oh no, cleaning?
I know, right? Your favorite. You don't want to use the plastic eraser?
The plastic eraser?
Non-Brad Magic Eraser to the rescue. Because we spare no expense here at the Urban Homesteading Channel. Right?
Right.
So after you clean it and dry it thoroughly, it's important that it is dry, otherwise your sticker will not adhere. And I guess the middle is aligning it with the cook time here. Cooking time.
Well, I can still see the shadow
Okay.
of where the original letters were, which is handy. Let's see if I can get this one lined up.
I have the ultimate faith in you. If you have ever done automotive badges, this is going to be a very familiar process to you. After you install the sticker, you remove the outside plastic and the lettering remains perfect behind it. This is a very easy and very satisfying process. So do not be afraid to do that. This has a great impact for your kitchen. Perfect. Look at that. Amazing looking, right? Absolutely stunning. No one would know that it was not original to the stove. And now, a most satisfying part, peeling the cellophane that holds the letters together and align off. Fantastic, right?
Yep.
Excellent. And this really looks great, don't you agree, Mrs. DIY?
I do. I think it looks so much better.
And again, that was $4 for those two. So even if you needed your whole kitchen, if all of them had fallen off, it will not be a very expensive project, right?
Right.
So for the upgrades we did to the kitchen today, we spent a grand total of $10. Very affordable, very reasonable, I think.
Yep.
Another area that sometimes needs to touch up is your shower head. As you can see in our shower head, even though it is a nice modern one, when you try to install it or fix a leak, very frequently you scrape the paint, whatever the paint is, right?
Yeah.
And in this case, underneath it is a very golden metallic finish,
brass
finish, and we have the same problem there. So we are going to try and touch it up today and see if we can fix it. So here again, you don't try for perfection. This is not nothing perfect, but from a distance, no one will know the difference, right? And already I can tell you in the camera, it is perfect. Now, Mrs. DIY is a perfectionist, unlike me. And it looks amazing. So that is such another simple touch-up, and the cost of this is $8, and probably it will last for a lot of touch-ups, don't you think, Mrs. DIY?
I would think so.
So $8. So far, everything was under $20 for everything, right? Everything was under $20 for everything? Yep. Brilliant. Now this has a little more obvious, I wouldn't call it damage, what you would call it?
It's a little bit of marring.
Quite a lot, don't you think? Take that little blob and spray it, love. There's a lot.
I will.
Okay. It even smells like nail polish. I referred this as nail polish earlier.
Well, you're applying it like nail polish.
And it even smells like that, doesn't it?
A bit.
So I wonder if nail polish will work. But nail polish probably will be more expensive, right?
I don't know. How much was this?
$8.
Yeah, nail polish is right up there with that, and sometimes more.
There's a little spot I see there. All right. Perfect. So not every project has to be very complex, require a lot of equipment or a lot of material, right? Today for under $20, we spruced up our house very nicely. Things that they were not horrible, they were not really functional, but they were visible, right? If you walk in our bathroom, for example, you could see, because it was golden behind the black, it was very visible. It drew the eye there, right? Mm-hmm. This was drawing my eye because it was missing the A and the G. And the S, I think, was half there. And this is actually kind of functional, right? If someone is trying to use the oven and they're not familiar with the oven, that makes it harder.
Or the stove.
Or the stove.
Yeah, but that's really a safety thing, to know which burner you're turning on, and if it's, an inner circle or an outer circle, and all those things really matter.
So, what do you think, Mrs. DIY? $20, does it worth it for those 3 projects?
Most definitely.
It really makes your house look better, doesn't it? And makes you feel better, and it doesn't look like you're neglecting it. Even though, again, we didn't do that. The previous owners did that.
Yeah.
The previous owners were very, very talented. They did a lot of things I cannot figure out how they did. In all the houses we have, this was the first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
Clearly, because they sell these stickers, that is not as uncommon as I thought.
Right.
But nevertheless, maybe it was excessive cleaning.
Could be. Because, the magic eraser took them off, so.
So who knows what happened, but now we have it looking better. And again, I'm going to use a little bit of my heat gun. If there is any little bubbling, I don't see many, but if there is something there, it will be removed, right?
Yep.
Anything we learned today? Does it worth doing those little projects, and does it worth staying out of the heat?
Most definitely. This was a good indoor project on a very hot day.
So for under $20, we address 3, can we call them eyesores in our house?
Yeah, they're like beautification.
Well, not really eyesores, but we made 3 minor improvements that make the house look better and make you feel better, correct?
Yep.
I mean, ladies care about those things. We don't.
Well, some gentlemen may disagree with you, but anyway.
So what do you want to say to our viewers? Level of difficulty from 1 to 10.
Probably 3.
Just be ready that the universal stickers will not be universal.
Right. As we learned, the stickers needed some adjustment, and it's not going to ever be perfect when you have to adjust a size of a circle, but it works. And
this looks perfect, right? You will never know. Of course, you know because we saw it to you.
Right.
How it was before and how it is now, right? So for under $20, we achieved in how long of a time, you think?
About 20 minutes.
20 to 30 minutes, let's say, be liberal, right?
Yep.
Projects in the house that always caught your eye and always annoyed you. Again, the ladies of the house care more about those things than we do, right?
Yep.
But now, do you feel better about this and the cost?
Yeah, I feel better, because if you're not planning to replace your appliances anytime soon, you can definitely at least make them look newer.
Right, and the cost is really nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cup of coffee. If we've gone out for coffee, we would have spent probably more than $20, right?
Yep.
So it's worth doing it. If you like this episode and you like these short, quick, impactful projects, give us a thumbs up. If you don't, hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know, do you want more episodes like this? From Professor DIY and Mrs. DIY, let's upgrade something together.